All right, you guys get ready to get rolling?
Yeah, let's send it down range.
You're listening to the Modern Dad Experience.
Sorry.
All right, you guys ready to cheers?
Let's cheers it.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Modern Dad Experience.
Welcome.
Love it.
All right, I was visiting with a dad recently around projects around the house, and we were debating, like, do I do that thing? Like, so I got, around my house, I have little projects, and they stare at me like gremlins. And it's like, you haven't done me yet. You should accomplish me. And I know if I do, I would feel productive. You know, I'd get something done and moved along. But it's just going to be replaced by like 10 more, like true gremlin fashion, right? So, what's your take on projects around the house? How do you accomplish them? What's gnawing at you right now?
I'd say make that list and then pick your top like one or two that you can actually put in your wheelhouse.
You make lists?
For sure. With that list, I would be even more chaotic. So, yeah, I would say just make that top 10, 20 list, right? And then just determine what's feasible in this list. Like one or two, you can't do two at once. So, I'm just saying, you asked, Levi.
No. So you got a list of 20, and you're saying,
Yeah.
Are you saying pick the easiest to accomplish, or like how would you triage that list of 20?
Me personally, yeah. What could I do like in the next hour or two if I had a window of time to do it, right? Otherwise, it'd be like, okay, what do I got to go to the store and get to complete this? Which then you go to the store abyss, and it's just like multiple trips. Luckily, we have two up the street, which is pretty great. You know what I mean? We're not super far from the Depot or Lowe's. Now, coming from a contractor here.
Yeah, I feel like my projects aren't small projects. I feel like they're all large projects, which is good and bad. The good part is you can kind of get onto one and focus on that. The bad part is it takes forever. Doing this for work is a completely different animal than coming home and doing it in your spare time. And it's really hard to get traction on a larger project when everybody's around and, you still have your dad responsibilities. So, you got to set everything up, start to work.
This is a dad responsibility.
Right. No, of course it is. But you set everything up. It takes you maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Then you get to work in. You get a good hour in there. And then all of a sudden something comes up. You got to clean everything up. It takes you another hour. So you really don't get that full bang worth of working time on the projects. And, but you just have to keep your head down and keep moving. My kitchen, which I started a couple of years ago, is mostly done. And it's been mostly done for a couple of years now, and as somebody who does that work, I get it to the completion rate of, this thing can be used, it's done. And then I'll get back to that, and it's tough to get back to it to make those final finishing touches. But, as you said, I'll be working on projects for the entirety of my life.
There's a table saw next to the pancakes.
Right. And, but like the projects, I have a dream to have a super sweet outdoor kitchen at my house. That's Dad's project. But in order to get to that project, got to finish the kitchen, which I started 2 years ago. Got to finish the girls' bathroom upstairs. I have to, there's so many other projects that it is a mountain in order to get to the dad project that may or may not ever happen, but.
I hear you. So yeah, if you're gearing up for a big work Saturday, like let's say you have 1 to 5 open to do like a work on a project, that means I'm doing a supply run Thursday night, because you got to set everything up and prep for it, and then you probably have something going on Friday night, kid event, and then you're like, okay, now I can work. Now that I'm exhausted, I can work.
Are you talking electrical and plumbing or handyman, like basic stuff?
Well, it's a full gamut of everything. It could just be hanging pictures. It could just be something that's on, like, I gotta get it done. Get it done.
Well, and that brings up a good point. As a dad, you're pretty much almost required to be an electrician and a plumber.
That's what I mean. A lot of people are not
and a mechanic
at all,
right?
Even close.
And to some extent, like even though I'm kind of got myself into a position where I have some working knowledge of all of those different trades now, there was a time in my life where I had zero knowledge. And with anything in life, I don't care what it is, if you commit yourself to learning and researching, and we all got hands, we all got brains on top of our heads. We can all make these things happen. It's just that
where do you apply
commitment
time?
Level, and where do you apply the time in order to get that done. But as a dad, it's to some way, in some ways, expected.
Yeah, it's a traditional role that you kind of expected to inherit. And yeah, not gonna lie, there are definitely things my wife is more handy at than I am. And so it's like,
That's funny.
I will be your support. What do
That's
you,
hilarious.
sous chef. I'll run and get whatever
Right.
you need.
I like it.
All right, but what? So your thing is the kitchen that's gnawing at you. Anything gnawing at you at your house?
Yeah.
Are you pretty good?
No, I mean, I definitely have constant list of stuff I'm trying to repair and fix, whether it's outside or inside. But like, so I have plaster walls, which suck, and I'm not going to attempt to fix these plaster walls because I will not. I'm not a finished plaster master. Like, it would look terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
There
I mean, you can sand it to a point.
There aren't
but
many of those left.
there's the other thing.
Like,
It's like to
that's a
get
dying
plaster work
art,
done is tough too.
for
So
sure.
I'm like letting all my plaster issues build up and then complete them all at once.
Yeah, the thing I struggle with is, okay, if I accomplish that one thing, there's still going to be 10 things behind it. You know, it's like, is that how I spend my free time? You know, or do I spend my free time like soaking up my kids or doing something, like playing something as a family? So I'm just trying to balance that scale between like productivity and quality time.
Yeah, can you find maybe a handyman to do a few things, like, you know, get rid of those and then do ones you can handle, maybe an hour or two a week.
Right.
And when you can't get done past that, just be like, all right, hard stop. Like, I got to go back to my job of dad and work and husband, whatever, right?
Also, though, you do get a sense of pride and real
sure.
good feeling when you get some of these things largely accomplished. I mean, you know, I'd love to when people come over and say, "Oh, I did that." You know, I mean, there's some plus points to that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And
I'd say lean into it. Because what I found, too, is like stuff that I didn't think I could do and I attempt to do and get it done. I'm like, sweet.
oh, really?
Oh,
I start
yeah.
projects. I'm like, I could do that.
I mean,
and
it blows up
clearly
in my
cannot do that.
it blows up in my
Yeah.
face. I'm not saying
Yeah.
every time, but when you do pull it off, like we keep having an issue with our shower faucet, like how it's working, like the you know, to make it come out from the top and the bottom, and it's like I've tried 2 or 3 times. I had a buddy try once. Now I'm gonna call a plumber because it's like clearly I shouldn't attempt this anymore. I'm gonna like flood the house at some point. Like, so there's the, you know, draw the line.
Yeah, water, plumbing, electrical, I'd stay away from.
God, it reminds me I have to go to my sister's house.
Work to do.
We're stressing him out.
I gotta
Right. I got to take a look
walking
at that
off.
shower. Yep.
All right, so moving in the next section, I want to know. So there are certain things that my wife is way better at than me, and I'm thankful because I just don't have that skill or patience. And like, for instance, I'm very much a morning person, high energy in the morning. You know, rally the troops, let's do something, let's make pancakes, all that good stuff. In the evening, when the kids are still elevated on energy, I'm like, no, I'm about to be lights out. It's about to be lights out.
Yeah.
That's when she has patience, and that's when she like can do crafts and all that kind of stuff. So what are things that you're thankful that your spouse has that complement your strengths?
Man, I'll tell you what, my wife, from an organizational standpoint and a planning standpoint, is just heads and shoulders above where I am. And I mean,
Sure.
I'm on the low end of that. I mean, if I'm even on the end, I mean, I'm like hanging off a rope that's dangling off the bottom end. But she, you know, like when we plan trips or have any of that stuff, she's remarkable. And it, honestly, it's something that I appreciate so much and probably don't tell her enough. And when I do tell her, you know, she's like, "Oh, great, thanks. I'm good at organizing," you know, but she really is. She's remarkable in planning and, you know, taking care of the things that just don't register to me. You know, I'm a much more fly by the seat of my pants type of guy, which, you know, has its moments in time that's what you need. But also you need to have a plan.
Yeah, I like that balance between the spontaneous and the organized.
Yeah.
And you really need that. And
Kind of a
it's-
yin yang, right? In a
Well,
way.
it's a partnership, and it's a team sport. It's like I've seen a video online where it's like we're about to get on an airplane. It's like same team, same team, same team. You know, that's what it's like.
I'll take a similar page probably. I mean, just because my wife is without question way beyond me, and being aware of plans that are coming up, you know, what's birthdays, gifts, what matters to who, thoughtfulness and so forth. I mean, I'm sure I'd come through with gifts, but nowhere near the meaning behind them and like the thought behind it and so forth. Yeah, without question. planning and probably patience a little bit. Like we both have pretty good patience, but more than anything, just like awareness.
With that, is she think of a thoughtful gift right away, or does she
No, she'll be
simmer
thinking of
on
it months in advance.
Ah.
She'll see it somewhere. Not always buying months in advance, but she'll sometimes be like, hey, by the way, I got Christmas done in July. Like, what?
That's amazing.
It is. And not always that way, but at least, yeah, thinking of it, seeing something that reminds her of somebody, like, or actually listening to what somebody says about what they're doing, and then, like, relating the gift to that. Just
instead of like a card full
Gift
of
card.
like crumbled up ones.
Exactly. Right.
All right. Fears. Let's talk fears as a person and fears as a dad. And so my personal fear, it's unfounded. I don't know where it comes from. But I have this fear that I'm going to reach into the oven and grab something without an oven mitt, But I don't know, but I think of it nearly every week.
Too
Jeez.
much. You think of that too much.
That's very interesting.
it's the
Did
answer
you
to
get
that
burned as a
question.
kid on accident by the
I think
oven?
you know what? I think it was. I
Interesting.
think that's what happened. Yeah, it's childhood trauma coming through.
I mean, I feel like probably sound like a broken record, but my fear keeps going back to just like current day information flow to just the kids and like them getting devices in the world ahead is like one of my biggest fears. Nothing particular in like the neighborhood or world. It's more, them.
I have the feeling that if you won the lottery, we wouldn't hear from you because you would just be living off the grid. Is that true?
Possibly. That's a really good chance. I mean, who doesn't want to live off the grid? I mean, to
Right.
some extent.
Depends on how much in the lottery. If we're like,
Right.
if we're $500 million, like nobody's ever gonna see me again. Nobody.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I'll be.
Because I feel like you can go out to the river and be off the grid in a way. You don't have to go too far, but like
I say this way too much. That SNL skit with Chris Farley.
down by the river.
Yeah.
Living in a van down.
We used to fear that, and now that's what we want.
So as a kid, my biggest fear was living in a van
down by the river.
And now my goal as an adult
I love it.
is to live in a van
That's
down
killer.
by the river.
Facts.
I love it.
Fears. Okay, so I'm afraid of heights, which is like I really personally am not afraid of much. I used to not love public speaking when I was young, and then I coached for a long time and had to get up at the end of every year and do the banquet in front of the parents, and so got some of that under my belt, and that doesn't bother me anymore. But for some reason, when I get up in the air or up high, I feel a sense of not having control. Like, I was at the Grand Canyon, and you get right up to the edge, and it's freaking terrifying because you know what happens if you go over, right? You can imagine.
You fly.
You can imagine, in the falling part's not the bad part. It's the stopping at the end, But
Do your kids have this fear?
not really. But for whatever reason, I get
Can you look up when you're up there, or can you not look down?
I can't really look down is the thing. And another thing that's kind of weird about that fear is, I went parasailing and I had, the parachute, up,
Jesus,
and
bro, parasailing?
was not scared at all. Like had none of that fear, but even though I was way up in the air. But I'm like, okay, if the rope breaks, I got a parachute. So, I mean, I'll at least be able to
not a bad way to look at it, I
control
guess.
my landing. But when I'm in a plane, I don't necessarily fear it because I think to myself, if this thing goes down, and unfortunately that's been happening a lot. But if it hits a mountain, I'm not going to feel it that much. It's going to be quick.
That's what I was going to ask. So, like in an office building, no fear or fear?
Not a ton of fear, but we went. Let's see, where'd we go? Sears Tower in Chicago, where they have that cantilever that goes out. I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put myself in a
That's
position,
hilarious.
where I want to test this. I don't want to put myself in a position where, okay, if it malfunctions, I'm a goner, and there's nothing I can do other than, to flop on down and enjoy the ride down.
What do you do? Do you just tuck in like cannonball, or?
Yeah.
I don't think there is
There's no.
no.
What about you?
Fear?
Yeah.
Well,
Besides the oven.
besides the oven, well, My biggest dad fear.
You go, that's it, just the oven.
Just the oven.
What, bro?
Yeah, I mean,
Midnight, the oven.
Like when the oven like is ready and beeps, do you like like PTSD?
I don't know.
You
I think it's mostly, yeah.
We're never gonna let you live that down either. But
I'm gonna turn your oven on and
There's
leave.
a lot you should not be let me live down. Actually, all of my fears are food based, right? So when
Okay,
I'm
interesting.
carrying in burgers from the grill, I'm afraid I'm gonna drop them. I'm like all this work prepping them and patting them out and then grilling them. I feel I'm gonna drop them, and this is it. This is the time that I drop them. No. So my biggest dad fear is when my kids get to dating age and the awkwardness that comes along with that, and the fact that like I know all the other parents and I'm just gonna be like,
Silly.
what's happening? You know?
That's funny. It's gonna be a trip.
yeah, I mean, I think I echo that fear. I have 2 daughters, and just not looking forward to kind of letting them go. And I mean, you know, I want them to be happy and have fun, and I understand that like life happens, right? And so they're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna have bad times. I'm not looking forward to any of it because I don't know how I will react, and I'm gonna try to be the best that I can. But you know, I mean,
All we gotta do is focus on building that confidence.
that confidence in that character and give them the tools to get through those situations. I mean, that's what our jobs are, you know. So hopefully we're able to prepare.
I agree with you. Like I used to, you know, think about like not obsessed, but think about it too much and be like, when they get older, and it's like, man, we got so lucky to go on this journey with them to get to older. Like stop thinking, and I don't think about it all the time, but it's like just let's enjoy these stepping stones to getting older. So hopefully when we're older, it all is in a good spot, right? And like, instead of looking towards that like finished, complete thing about them dating or whatever, the fear would be, which typically my fear, it's like, I gotta stop thinking about that. And
Totally, and like really, the fear is the not having control. I think it's the same thing with heights with me, which is super odd to me because I'm not very controlling. I let my kids have freedom, and I'm a big proponent of that. But it's the fear of not being able to protect them in every way at all times and have that control over those situations that's the most terrifying.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, and it doesn't take the fear away. I just mean it's always good to look at the things that freak you out a little bit and be like, how can I harness some power from this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that it doesn't immediately go back and I'm still like, damn, I'm going to get older and date. It's going to be hard, but it's like, you know, if you think about it in a positive way enough, that thing that scares you, I guess, then it could be less.
Yeah.
Well, and the more energy you put into that fear, the
Exactly.
stronger it
Right,
gets. You know, so even with heights, like I try to keep myself out of those situations, right? Because I don't want to expend any energy being, you know, at the edge of the Grand
I can't
Canyon
go.
shaking.
I'm not
and,
scared of
like,
heights, but I can't go up somewhere high and look up. It's the most bizarre.
Look up.
Bro, it's
Like, I can't look down,
I know it's super interesting. I have to like grab a hold, and even then it takes me a long time.
So, like, what are you looking up at?
No, because
If
I think
you're
I
at-
feel unstable about how. Yeah, it's weird. It's like
You're so far off the ground already.
I have no idea. It's super bizarre. I'm not saying I love getting up super high either and looking way down, but it does. The freaky part is looking up.
So weird.
Yeah, I think it's something about
Like, you can't fall up. You know that,
bro.
right?
That's why I'm sharing today. I thought you might have some other feedback. Never mind. Next question, bro.
Natural fashion, you share something, we pick it apart.
I love
Love
it.
it.
I love
Can't
it.
wait to share again.
That's what we're here for.
So, with stressful jobs, just stress everywhere.
Thanks for bringing it up, man.
That's why we have the whiskey.
Stressing over
That's why we
here.
have the
Yeah, right.
whiskey. I was thinking about escapism.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it's like scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or some other, you know, escapism activity, reality TV, pick your poison. Do you have any escapism activities? Do you think it's a good thing, a healthy thing? Do you think it's a bad thing?
Yeah, I think it's very healthy. I almost think sometimes we do it too much because we go. But like easy escapism for me, which I think is really fun as a dad, is just finding like you could hit. Sometimes we'll hit 2 parks, 3 parks in an afternoon, and it's almost overkill. But I'm asking the kids, "You guys want to go to another one?" Yeah, you want, and then we get there and they don't want to leave. It's like, all right, but So free, it's super easy. I love it. Like,
And inexpensive.
well, it's free, bro.
And cheap.
I think there's zero cost.
But I'm serious. Like,
Zero
that's my
cost.
escape. That's close and simple because it's like just to exit the home a little
That's
bit, right?
That's a
And
healthy escape, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're
No-
dad related. Like,
No unhealthy escapism in your going on in you.
yeah, like sure. I sometimes I guess I don't call it unhealthy, but like a side business of mine is I try to do real estate, right? And that takes me down to the city. That's where I've kind of invested myself. But so that takes me away from the family, which they say it's good to have that separation time in a sense, or that
But it can be hard.
very hard.
Yeah.
Or I guess you should say you're lucky if you get that little break in time, and that's be careful what you do with that break or how long you utilize it. But yeah, so that can be kind of tough because like I end up the time away is just tough in general, but it's a okay escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, mine. I was thinking about a bunch of different things, but I think from an escapism standpoint, my biggest one is walking, and that's a personal for me, and it's daily. I do 2 to 3 miles every day, and that's like the only time where I know that I can be just clear-headed, and any of those stresses and pressures, I can kind of wipe them out with my actions and activities. It's a really healthy thing to do. Brett touched on it. There's great parks around this area, but just getting out there and being active. I used to, and sometimes I'll put one earbud in and listen to some music, but more now, and I go usually late after the kids go to bed. So, 8, 9 o'clock at night, I'm going to go on a 2-3 mile walk, and that's what I do. And now I do it without the headphones in, so I can listen. When I go to the park, I can listen to the owls, I can listen to nature, and there's just a great calmness about being out in the evening, walking when no one else is around.
That's a form of meditation right there.
Totally, and I mean super healthy, and it's just so relaxing, and I'm able to reset during those times. If I've had a bad day with the family, if I've had a bad day at work, if I've gotten terrible news, it's a way to kind of walk through it and just say, what? It's going to come and it's going to go. It's going to be here, but then it's going to be gone. And so putting all this energy and stress and this terrible stuff into it is only making it worse. But if you just, let it run its course and do the best that you can to navigate whatever hard situation that is. But it's those times being alone and walking and kind of checking out, so to speak. Now, I also will do some scrolling and look at reels. That's a totally different type of escapism. But the important one is, I think, that physical walking, getting out.
It's great though because I feel like you kind of those things always come back to what happened the days before. I feel like it's once you step away, it's easier to reflect a little bit.
Well, two themes. You're both describing being outside in nature, which is like calming and meditating.
What do we call it?
Forest bathing.
Forest bathing.
That's what the world wants to call it now.
I know. And you're not giving me anything dark. No, yeah. I mean, a year ago I was scrolling through Instagram and it was funny. It was really, really funny and comical. But I would lose my time in the bargain because it was like, then I would come off that dopamine hit, dopamine, and I would just be kind of irritable. And I was like, you know what? I need to stay away from this. It's funny. It's really, really engaging and funny, but it's not healthy for me. So.
I should say my bike. If I hit Grants Trail for an hour, sometimes I bring headphones, but a lot of the time I don't. And when I don't, it's just crazy. I go through 6 different major subjects I work through. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's the only time you can think really on your own terms without having excess other things. When you're at work, when you're present with your family. I mean, there's all these inputs and things that you need to be. But when you're out doing something like that,
How about you?
In terms of healthy
Escapism.
escapism? Oh, yeah. I love being outside. So, yeah.
You bought a bike recently. You been riding that, or do you just do that with?
Yeah,
Clay?
I love riding the bike. I'm about to upgrade it here in March, so I'm looking forward to that. But Buddy and I are training for a longer run, so I go for a run in the morning every
Nice.
once in a while.
Nice.
So, yeah. I don't care.
You gonna do a marathon?
No, I'm not going to do a marathon this year, maybe some year.
Cool.
When you text the group the other night and like, I'm about to go for a walk, and I was like super jealous.
Haha.
It's good.
you guys are
Good
welcome
call.
anytime. I almost texted you guys. I walked past both of your houses to get up to Truman.
Creeper.
These last Yeah, and it's super creepy.
Dude,
I
as soon,
mean,
no, as
I
soon as you
should,
said night walk, I was like, yes, bro.
right? I mean,
I can't make it, but
I probably shouldn't walk all the way up to your windows and stuff. I do. That's just because I
If you
want to
can
make
make
sure
my
you're.
door's
I
locked.
just
like,
want to
bro,
make sure
you
you guys
napping
are okay.
outside my house in the flower bed, bro?
Yeah, once or twice, but
Quick power nap. Want to take a walk?
no, there is also a lot to be said about getting around the neighborhood at night. For me, and there's people. I usually put like a super bright orange hat on because I don't want to look like the guy that's casing the joint. I want to draw attention to myself so that other people can see me. But I really love walking around the neighborhood, and I mean our neighborhood's pretty clutch. We know a lot of people here, and but I want to know what's going on. I want to be that guy who sees what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't think you really understand your neighborhood until you walk it or you bike it. I mean, there's so many nooks and crannies and crevices that are interesting. Like you found a secret passage to another park. That was cool. So yeah, you got to get it on foot.
And I feel like kids love those little trails. Like even you go to White Cliffs, I'm trying to get my little guy to ride more off road, and it's like you got to find those easy to do paths where they're not going to smash their face and never want to do it again. So, which is tough because usually it's pretty hilly, but there's some cool little cut throughs and some cool little nooks. They're like, look at this adventure.
You got any tips for us? Free, zero cost, inexpensive experiences?
I was gonna say the zip line deal. So I call it triple zipple just because like it makes my kids get excited. I'm like, all right, you guys, we're gonna go hit the zip line.
Always trying to brand something.
Yep, triple zipple. I don't think that's gonna land on 2 feet, but sounds great.
In my home, it rocks, bro.
I bet it does.
No, but
When everyone's out at a basketball game,
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
just-
house
It's
loves
hard.
it.
They love it. Yes.
it's simple. So you go to Rayburn Park, behind the Crestwood Aquatic Center. What do you call that place?
It's Crestwood Swim Club.
It's Crestwood Swim Club at Crestwood
City Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Government Center? Yeah, City Hall. Yeah. So right behind there, Rayburn Park, they have a zip line. Then you shoot over, which is like 5-minute drive to East Watson. They have 2 zip lines.
Watson Trails Park.
Yes, off East Watson. Thank you.
Yes.
And then you take East Watson down to Rott Road, go under 270, and shoot over right by Tapawingo in the driving range before you hit 30. There's a park there by the baseball fields, 3rd zip line.
What's that park called? It's over
It's
by
a funky
Minnehaha,
name.
right?
Yeah,
by
exactly.
the marina.
Kind of by, yeah,
It's over that
before you
area.
get to 30, it's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Baseball fields, driving range. There's a massive 18-hole frisbee golf course too there, 18 or 9. But anyways, there's another zip line there. So, but they actually added a whole new playground there too. So it's they got trail in the woods. It's on the river. It's really really cool. So the idea is that it's close. You don't have to really leave Crestwood Sunset Hills, and then you end at the marina and you have a cold beer with the kids.
Oh, nice.
Not with the kids.
You got one?
Oh man, what was the question? Free?
Just something
zero
free and easy
cost,
around town here.
inexpensive.
Man, no, I don't. I don't have. I mean,
Well, I
we
think
do
it's-
it. The parks are a great
I think
example.
It's the theme of the park.
It's the
right?
theme of the park, the St. Louis Zoo. I mean, we haven't been out there. St. Louis has got a bunch of free attractions that are epic.
Yeah.
This week, free and easy, we had, this was a big dad week for me. We had, Friday night, we had 2 basketball games. The 3rd grade
Nice.
had a basketball game, and the 1st grade had a basketball game. My daughters both scored buckets, which was awesome.
Nice.
Two W's in the win column. Saturday, both my girls are in Girl Scouts. We did the
Pinewood Derby?
Pinewood Derby, which I've never done before, which, those of you watching, thumbs up, pretty cool. Like, totally into it now, I think. We may never do it again, but that was super fun. And then we had a sleepover, which was a double sleepover. Each girl had a friend over, which, they're 1st and 3rd grade, and I don't know if this continues for all of sleepovers for the rest of time. I'm assuming it probably does, but they go nuts, man. They go wild. They turn into maniacs. And we watched a movie, got pizza, did the whole thing, and then everybody's cuddled up on the couch watching this movie, and I'm thinking, God, I'm such a winner, right? Like, we got neighborhood kids, everybody's having a great time, settling in, watching a movie. We'll click this thing off. It'll be bedtime. It's money, right? And the movie gets off, and everybody
We want
gets
more.
a shot of adrenaline. Like
This
that
isn't over.
They just they get completely wound up
Feed
and
off each other.
they feed off each other. The little girls are in one side of the upstairs and the big girls are in the other side. And you go up, check on them, get them kind of tucked into bed, and then you go downstairs, and then it sounds like the whole WWE's upstairs. Like people are going off the freaking top row of the loft bed and flying elbows. This can't be these little girls. So you run up there and just poor little girls smiling at you like, okay, what's going on? Is everybody okay?
They ask
like,
you, why are you being so loud
the house
downstairs?
shook, and I was just, no, everything's fine. We're just playing with the teddy bears. And but so, yeah, it was a relatively inexpensive weekend, just chilling at home. And yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We went down and helped my sister clean out my childhood home, get it ready for sale, because she's recently married, and so the kids kind of got a little character development of like, here, carry this up the stairs, do this stuff, like be helpful, trying to instill in them like, we got to help each other between family or friends or whatever.
Your sister lives in your childhood home that you grew up in?
When she got married, she moved out, so it's a house that she doesn't need anymore, so we got to get it prepped for sale and all that good stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Good market to sell in.
Yeah. So what's coming up? Current events. We got Super Bowl next weekend.
Bada bing.
Gonna be intense.
Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Chiefs. Although I'm a heavy Chiefs fan. Have been since prior to the Rams came to St. Louis. I was a Chiefs fan back in the day. Christian Okoye, Nigerian Nightmare. Been a Chiefs fan ever since Patrick Mahomes came to their team. Really enjoy watching him play. Having said all that, I really love Saquon Barkley, man. He's one of my favorite players. The guy's a baller, the running back for the Eagles. So I want to see the Chiefs win. I'd like to see him do well. The fact that he's in a Super Bowl after suffering through the first part of his career as a New York Giant with no help around him, it's been exciting to watch that. But I just love football in every form. I'd go out and watch sixth graders play each other. I'm not even kidding. I mean, I was
You're
born
gamer
on
on
it.
sixth graders.
Right. I may or may not have done that in the past, but yeah, so excited for that game. I mean, I think we're going to a birthday party at the bowling alley prior to it, which, we usually film on Sundays for the Modern Dad Experience. So who knows? Maybe we'll bump to a Saturday, or maybe we'll do an on location at our various watching parties or what have you, and maybe we go from there. But yeah, I mean, that's about all I got. Current events, huh? I mean, we got dance coming up.
Oh yeah, and cheers on the way out.
Cheers to you.
There, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Second.